Okay. Well, welcome to week 7 as we talk about psychological safety. So, I have there in the written lecture, did you know that there is a link between the state of employees and risk for safety incidents to occur? Well, it's true. The more you know. So, anyway, let's go with something real simple. If you're having a real tough day or experiencing life problems, you may not be aware of your surroundings at the moment. It happens. Our brain can only handle so much, folks. Okay. This is why OSHA looks into psychological safety as a factor to contributing to workplace injuries. So that one scenario a few weeks back where the guy nails his hand to the wall, that could be considered in many respects a psychological safety issue. If you're being tormented the whole time, yelled at and all that and distracted, yeah, that would be enough to do it. So think about a time when you were distracted during a stressful task, um, and there was a safety issue or someone you know. What happened? You know, um, you know, you cut your finger. Did you fall? Or if you're in the middle, even at home, you have small children and you're running around in a frenzy and you're barefoot, you step on those Legos. That's special torture there. Whatever it may be. But the idea is sometimes we're distracted. The other thing, too, is sometimes individuals aren't in the best state of mind in general because of personal life problems or work problems. Doesn't make a difference. So, consider this: if someone's having problems out in their life, they say keep your work life separate from your personal life. Doesn't always happen like that. And as I call that, malarkey and horse apples in the written lecture, because it's true. Like, come on. I mean, I can see to a certain degree, yes, you have to separate a bit. But can you do it successfully all the time? No, we're not robots. If you're interested in that, there's a TV show called Severance. I believe it's on Apple TV, where they're programmed to have a chip in their brain where they don't differentiate anything between work and life. In other words, they don't really recognize when they're at work, they don't think about their lives. They only know work. Then when they're out in their lives, they don't think about work at all. I don't know how they remember to go to work. I guess they remember it. But anyway, they have this chip put in their brains. So aside from having something like that, something bizarre sci-fi like that, the two are going to mesh together. So we're going to talk a lot about that as far as psychological safety this week. And so for week 7's discussion, I propose looking at wellness promotion in the workplace. So we have references for you to what they call Maslow's hierarchy or McClelland's need achievement theory. There's a video here, Toxic Workplace Culture, and when employees no longer care. It's a funny video from a movie called Office Space, if you haven't seen it. Actually, Office Space is a real good example, a comedic example of, the course organizational behavior, to be honest with you. All those org theories can be applied to that movie, although, again, kind of funny. So basically, we need to look at a few things. Employees' wants, needs. That could be a psychological factor. In other words, if everyone's feeling just mucking through the day, they might miss some key issues. Key safety issues get hurt, or someone else could get hurt. You can look at it like that. So if we're not at our best and we're distracted, we could get hurt. And that's something to think about. In a lot of cases, especially criminal justice system, there's times where people are just distracted, don't see what's before them. And that could happen, especially if you're having a bad day or having some trouble. What I always told people at work, and I still do this, is that I want them to take time off for mental health reasons. So, I couldn't, especially I work for the state and I was a trainer, new employees. I said, I can't officially say this to you, but you know what? If you don't have much to do on some day and you're just not feeling it, take a day off. I'm not saying take 87 days off, one or two a year. a mental health day, if this will make you feel better to sit and eat pizza and watch Maury Povich or do whatever you want to do, please do it. And I found that to be very helpful. And I've been given a lot of feedback over the years about it. Funny story. Well, sort of funny. Part of it's funny. My dad at the time was really, really sick. He had congestive heart failure, but he got some kind of, I think, pneumonia, and he was septic. And we're in the ER, and it wasn't good for a while. And he was real combative. He was just out of sorts. And I'm standing there, and there's a lot of people that went through my academy that are doing a lot of different things now. So the first person to walk up was a medic, and he said, "Hey, Mike, good to see you. I always remembered you always said take some mental health days." I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." Then another guy who went through my academy said the same thing. He was moonlighting as mental health crisis at night at the hospital. And sure enough, the geriatric social worker came in, and I knew her real well. And she's like, "Oh, it's good to see you, Mike. I'm here to evaluate your dad and all that." And I said, "Okay." She says, "I always remembered when you said take some mental health days. It's really good for you to do that." And it was funny. My dad kind of snapped out of it. He goes, "What's going on? How do you know all these people? And why you telling them to take mental health days?" So he kind of snapped out of it after that. Of course, I'm sure the antibiotics were probably doing the trick there. But it was kind of a message I always send out. Like, look, if you need a day, take it. I mean, I don't think any of us have a cape here, especially in jobs that are mentally or physically draining. I mean, there's nothing real important you have to do that day. Like, everyone's going to live. Just take the day, relax, have a good time, do what you need to do. I would not fake sick and then go to a Phillies game, I guess. People have gotten in trouble for doing that. But again, if I were the manager and someone simply said to me, "I need a mental health day," I'd be like, "Go for it. Like, no problem. Enjoy the Phillies game." That's just kind of the way I am on that. Now, again, this is every once in a while. If someone's out a whole lot, I have to have like courageous conversation with them there. But I mean, this is kind of the way I look at it. And there's other things too as far as wellness is. There's sometimes individuals that are not fit for duty for some reason or another. It doesn't happen often, but there are situations where individuals' fitness for duty is in question because of maybe some crisis. It could be, temporary, it could be relatively permanent or something like that. And, that's really hard to prove fit for duty. But if someone has some more profound psychological, psychiatric symptoms, their behavior is just different, then yeah, it's probably a good idea to look into that a little bit more. Talk with your HR leaders on that one. So there's a supplement here to go with the text about psychological safety in the workplace and a small TED talk in addition to your discussion question. There are no assignments for this week. It's just a good time to think about as a leader or future leader, some symptoms you might see out in the workplace that are indicative of probably not the most sound psychological safety protocol in the workplace. So take a look at that. And the other thing too, by the way, is take a look at how leadership can impact psychological safety. If you want to talk about that as well, because leadership is responsible for that in many respects. If you're in an organization where they're just terrible to everyone, they're authoritarian, you're fearful all the time, that could be a psychological factor as well. And it's hard in those environments to not carry that home or, to have that, kind of disrupt the home life. So anyway, look forward to your discussions, and I'll see you on the boards.